As someone who is mixed yourself, when you hear people like Trump that say that Kamala Harris isn't really black.
They say that about me.
Do they?
Well, yeah, because we're mixed. Because
exactly.
Because we're
Yeah, so I'm saying, as someone who has been through that as well, when you hear people say, because Trump is like, is she really black? She's black when it's convenient and not black when it's, she's Indian when it's convenient.
That was, I've heard that many times. I've not heard people say I'm black when I'm convenient. I've heard people say, you ain't black Mexican, so stop talking about that. Well, I'm not even Spanish. I have no Mexican blood in me. Like, I'm like, well, I'm Mexican.
Wait, so what are you mixed with again?
I'm black, Italian, and Greek.
Got it. Yeah.
I don't talk about being Italian and Greek all the time because that's not how I identify, but I do talk about it when I'm asked what I'm mixed with or what my mom or this or that, because I think when people see me, they see a person of color. You may say I'm Dominican or Puerto Rican or whatever, but, everybody who is mixed has had the experience of not being black enough to black people and not being white to white people, so you're kind of in this weird space. It wasn't until I read Mariah Carey's book where she talked about her own experience, and I text her like, yo, this is a book that every mixed person needs to read because we've all had the same experience. And I didn't even know there was a community of people that had, felt that way. But when I look at it, what I love about the vice president is that she's not defending her blackness, because once she gets into the tailspin of defending being black, oh, I am black, or I was black, or she went to HBCU, she's from San Francisco, or from the Bay Area. If you go and watch all of her interviews when she was in the Senate and when she was as a DA, and she's talking about what she's talking about, you see a black woman talking. But the whole argument of not black enough or too black, that's the conversation I wouldn't even participate in, because you're never going to win that.
How do you feel when people try to run the false narrative that she got 1,500 people, mostly black men, locked up for marijuana while she was a DA, which actually isn't true.
Yeah.
55 people actually went to prison for marijuana during that time, which was about half the number of the DA before her.
Yeah.
And also keep in mind, during that time, marijuana was illegal.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that the people that got locked up were probably in there for like 200 pounds and stuff that they would probably get locked up for today as well. Mm-hmm. But the whole thing is like she locked up thousands of black men for weed, which is legal now.
I think the thing that bothers me the most about it all, besides the fact that it's not true, is that most of the people saying it look like me and they haven't done the research. And it's really embarrassing, to be honest with you, that we're that ignorant to facts when Google is a free search engine. You know what I mean? I'll even make it easier for you. ChatGPT it. Because the other day when I was seeing all this stuff about her, I just went to ChatGPT and typed it in and all the facts came up. So the information is there if you want to find it. And then let me also be clear. I haven't endorsed Kamala Harris, and I'm not out saying we have to vote for Kamala, although, there's going to come a time where I'm going to publicly say who I want to support. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm just letting the dust settle from all of the energy around her announcement, because it's great that we have good energy going against Trump, because I thought that Trump age shaming somebody who was 4 years younger than him was crazy. And Biden, I've met him. There's a video on my social media where
Biden is older than Trump.
There's a 4-year age difference between the two.
Yeah.
Biden is older than Trump. But what I'm saying, he was age shaming him for the 4-year gap. And of course, because if you talk to Biden, he's somewhat looking through you and not to you.
Well, no, the cognitive ability of Biden was very clear. As soon as I saw the debate, I said, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
And I was right. Me and D.L. Hughley got into whole arguments over this. And I'm like, he's going to step down. And I was right.
Yeah. But I mean, them questioning that was fair. But now it's a fair fight because Kamala is tough.
She's younger than him. She's 59.
And she's smart, and he's going up against a black woman. So now what I'm watching is it went from like this assassination attempt Trump to where like, oh my God, my life changed and I want to unite the country, to like he's clearly threatened by her, and now he's doing all this political dog whistling and attacking her, and you're attacking a black woman that's you're never going to win.
Oh yeah.
Because one, she's gonna out argue you or out debate you, but also now other women are you're gonna turn women off. I don't know. It's been an interesting thing, but I'm also intrigued by how much money Kamala's raised and how least she spent with black-owned media yet. And so when we talk about DEI,
that's interesting.
When we talk about DEI, when we talk about the importance of investing in black communities and all that, you raised $200-something million. You haven't spent $1 with black-owned media yet, that I know of. And now Roland Martin, shout out to him because he and I put our differences aside. He reached out to me and he's talking to me about them spending money in the black media space. But as of today, less than 90 days away from the election and millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars raised, there's been no equity in that. And I can tell you that if we pull her campaign reports or we look at how they're all spending money, they're spending money with non-black owned media companies because they're riding on the free hope of the slave. The black person to say, we got to vote to save democracy. And that's the frustrating part that I've had with this administration because I built a relationship with the vice president in the administration over the last 2 years. And there's this new guilt thing going around where everybody's calling me, checking my pulse to see what does Jason think, what does Jason say? Because he's the one that's going to say whatever he wants to say. And I'm still going to say whatever. That's why I had Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on my show. That's why I've reached out to Trump. That's why I reached out to Dr. Cornel West. And that's why I've reached out to the vice president because I'm a platform to interview people. But this guilting of we got to just bandwagon now and ride the wave because the blue wave, because it's just the way we have to save democracy. Yeah, democracy right now is being threatened because the Democrats have relied on black people just being invested in protecting democracy. And then the Republicans have been, in many ways, pandering in a way that is, equally disrespectful. And then somewhere in between, if we don't figure this shit out, our country's not going to be what we know it to be. And then who's to blame for it? So I'm just sitting here waiting to see how they allocate the resources, how they stand behind the words that they say and walk the talk, because, interviewing Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was very eye-opening for me.
Yeah, I did an interview with him about a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting to see how it all plays out. But it's been a very interesting thing. I'm proud of the campaign that Kamala has now because I will say that having been around the White House is it's the president's administration and then there's the vice president's team that's a part of that administration, but they're very separate and they function completely different. And so whereas people say, well, she was a very unpopular vice president and she was in the shadows because that was her position in his administration. Now that she's out, now you see her. And this is the Kamala that I see in private. And she is a strong, intelligent woman. And I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah. And I feel like when Trump first took office, black people were bashed just by standing next to him. Steve Harvey caught all that flack just for having a meeting.
Of course.
Kanye wearing the MAGA hat was a whole big thing and, and so forth. But now a lot of black people are openly showing support for Trump and standing behind it, which you just didn't see 4 years ago or really 8 years ago.
Well, Amber Rose and I were friends. I'm not going to say we're enemies because I still have love for Amber. I actually posted a really nice message about how two facts can be true. She can be totally wrong and I can love her. And I do love her. She unfollowed me recently and I unfollowed her back because that's what people do whenever they don't agree or whatever. But she was mad that I posted a photo of her on my page that I saw circulating that had a tattoo about don't support Trump or something on her face. And she felt like as a friend, I shouldn't have posted it. But I also feel like she's somebody who stood for the gay community, the trans community, women's rights, do what you want with your own body. And then now you're over here with Trump, who's clearly like the complete opposite of that.
Anti-abortion. Convicted sexual assault. Where else can we go? Grab him by the pussy.
And you know what's crazy is Amber fell into that category of not black enough and or too white or not white. And so she understands that space. So to be there and have a black woman running who stands for women's rights, who stands for LGBT, why? So my question on her social media when she unfollowed me was, what you gonna do now? You didn't see this in the bingo card, but now that this is what it is, are you gonna switch? But now she just did an interview with Candace Owens. So like, how do you sit? Now it's like
I saw that. Yeah.
Now it's like, are you being paid by Donald Trump, and are you now like the MAGA mascot because there's a bag involved? Because the Amber that I thought I knew, that's not the Amber that I thought I knew.